I'm hearing more and more people, including some folks in the MAGA camp, say this is not what we signed up for. This is not what we voted for.
There are times in every nation's history where its people must come together for the greater good, where citizens must make great sacrifices in order to ensure a better future for the next generations.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
According to the Republicans, now is one of those times. The existential crisis is Trump's ego, and the sacrifice you have to make is your 401k.
And those 401k people who are depending, those retirees, all of that, just talking plain speak with them. Look, when this nation used to go to war, people in this country would support the war effort with their materials at home and making things for weaponry and all of that.
Except, unlike past moments in history, the rest of us aren't so on board with this plan. Here's Jared Bernstein, former chair on the Council of Economic Advisors, telling Mika just how insane it is that the Republicans are trying to pull this one.
No enough on May 7th for the Fed to act in any way?
Elizabeth, I will answer that excellent question. It's something I've been writing about, so I'm happy to speak to it. But first, let me just say, I think I speak for a lot of people when I say I am just sick to death of billionaires telling regular people not to worry about what these incompetent people are doing. All right? I mean, I just think that if you're a billionaire and you're sitting there while the market is in correction territory and 60% of middle-class people about to retire are watching their 401ks, don't tell them not to worry about it, okay? Just don't. Okay, now, sorry, a little bit of a rant, but I feel very deeply about that, and I'm sure that resonates with many folks. Now, in terms of the Fed, they have a real challenge here because, yes, if it was the market, the economy, all this turmoil and uncertainty, an interest rate cut would be something that we'd probably expect. In fact, especially since that's kind of the direction they've been going in anyway. But there's a new problem. Tariffs are a particular challenge for the Fed because they do two things. They slow growth, but they raise prices. Okay, that's stagflation. The Fed has a hard time cutting interest rates, especially a Fed that's nervous about inflation getting back to its target. The Fed has a hard time rationalizing, justifying an interest rate cut when it's into a price rising kind of environment. So when I hear Jay Powell talk, I hear him say he's precisely concerned about that dichotomy, that trade-off. So I think he might hold as opposed to lower.
So I got to ask you now, if you could, please, to respond to an attempt to spin this. I'm trying to be kind, but I am talking about the media that is very supportive of Donald Trump. And I'm just going to quote some of these extremely powerful hosts. One is a retired judge, and the other is a primary host. I don't care about my 401k right now. Don't look right now. Just don't look. And also, one saying this is when you lose your 401k, this is your time, just like during wartime. People gave of themselves to the country. This is your opportunity to give of yourself to the country. Jared Bernstein, go.
I am very sympathetic to a message that says we as Americans sometimes have to sacrifice for a bigger gain. I think that's 100% correct. That is not this. That is not this moment. This is Trump. You just heard the man stand up on the podium and say, every country is calling me and kissing my butt. That's the goal here. This is an authoritarian president who understands nothing about international trade, breaking the global economy so that he can get other countries to call him up and grovel. Americans are happy to give up pain if there's gain later. But pain now for pain later, I don't think anyone should be happy about that deal. And frankly, I'm thinking more, I'm hearing more and more people, even the billionaire class who supported him seems to be waking up and wondering if they've bet on the wrong pony here. I'm hearing more and more people, including some folks in the MAGA camp, say this is not what we signed up for. This is not what we voted for.
Yeah, it's the MAGA voters across the country that one might be most worried about because what you're saying We're hearing from the Wall Street Journal. We're hearing from the National Review. We're hearing from some Republican senators. There are concerns about this. There are more concerns than there is support. And as you said, it appears the support are those who are in some way benefiting from this or under the president's thumb. I haven't found positive support that isn't in some way connected to Trump directly. I'll keep looking.
While brainwashed MAGA Republicans are trying to convince Americans that we're just trying to sacrifice now in order to gain later, people are not buying that. Although Americans may be dumb, we're not that dumb. And the fissures and cracks in this Republican coalition are starting to get wider and wider. I'm not trying to sound too optimistic here, folks, but it's like these tariffs were Trump's kryptonite, but he just couldn't help himself from touching it. And now every single demographic that he won over is starting to turn their backs on him, including the billionaires and establishment Republicans. Hell, here's a clip from Maria Bartiromo telling Scott Bessent that business leaders are coming to her asking, what the hell are we doing?
People, business leaders are saying to me, why are we doing this? Everyone was very excited about President Trump's agenda, deregulation, tapping into energy, tax cuts. And now, boom, with these tariffs, everything has changed. Why are we doing this?
Well, Maria, I think it's, as you said in the last segment, it's all of the above. You know, President Trump was elected with a mandate. He's closed the border, so check on that. We are doing the very large deportation of people, criminals, and people who have overstayed their visits, their period. So we're in the midst of that. And now President Trump is tackling the trade agenda. And this isn't done in isolation.
Excellent pivot to the border and immigration there, Scott, when Maria very clearly asked a question about the tariffs and why the hell are we doing this? These MAGA cultists just throw out these prepared answers. And one of them is that Trump was given a mandate by the American voters, when in reality, MAGA voters are so simple they don't even understand how tariffs work. Like, check out this post from this MAGA voter. Got a quote for a purchase today, and it had a $77 tariff surcharge. I am 100% Trump, but how do we get charged a tariff surcharge for purchasing a foreign-made item? Someone with more knowledge explain this to me, please. Edited. If you start bashing my president, I will remove you from my friends list. Hard not to bash your president when his dumbass is the reason why we're in this position to begin with. And it's in times like these that we have to remind ourselves of Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malice which can be adequately explained by stupidity. If Trump was doing this maliciously, it would imply some level of planning. If he was doing it benevolently, it would also imply some level of planning. But at this point, I'm pretty sure he's just pulling levers and pushing buttons to see what happens. And that doesn't exactly seem like the kind of existential crisis that Americans are willing to sacrifice for. I'm Tony Hinderman with Really American, and I'll catch you next time.